ton of these Lurker Storms as well are beautiful. And MaxPax starting to build a pretty nice conky with shield battery overcharge, keeping these Immortals alive. MaxPax feels like he's crushing through this, and then you kind of look at the supply and realize that, wait a minute. The bottom left in the blue, taking down Gumiho to get here. Not Dark, as confused as I was in the last series. It's MaxPax. And the upper right in the red for Dragon Kites the Gaming, playing a wild game number 3 against Estrella. It's Dark. Where do we go in this game number 1, game number 3, game number 1 of our grand finals? There we go. I know what's happening. Well, I can tell you Dark is proxy hatching, not MaxPax's gold, which is absolutely something that he has done before, but his own base. And this means that MaxPax is going to have to respond to this in some way, shape, or form. And he, okay. We got weird stuff all over the place. This is a very weird spawning pool placement. And what this means is MaxPax is not really gonna know what's up until he's not gonna see the spawning pool. Now, granted, generally you're not really scouting for the spawning pool. You're looking at gas timings and hatch timings and things like that. And MaxPax is aware of the proxy hatch, but he doesn't know whether there's something more on top of that. So he won't see the spawning pool. Again, it's not that big of a thing, not that important of a thing to scout. It's not really gonna tell you a ton, but it tells him a little bit. So MaxPax, 2 gates on the low ground, slams them down. Let's go. Let's see what's going to happen with this one. Is it going to be roaches? Is it going to be just a kind of a macro play? Is he asking for MaxPax to go and just get aggressive and then punish for it? It does feel how Dark's been playing on this map. And let's see. Again, I'm curious as what's going to happen. Now, MaxPax, he did open double gate, which is double adept pretty quickly. Is he chronoing these out? Yeah, double chrono on the adepts, double gateway here. Trying to put as much pressure onto this gold base as quickly as possible. He doesn't want he doesn't want Dark to go and fully saturate it. 6 out of 12 right now, 12 out of 12 again. That's a ton of mineral injection pretty quickly here. So adepts are going to show up very quickly, and they're going to start to, they can just sit here, is the thing. Yes, the Queen's going to eventually show up and force it back, but as long as these rocks are not down, the adepts can sit here and just deny mining as long as possible. Drones were pulled away, which is I am so sorry. There we go. Fix that one. I hit the wrong button and we solve it eventually. Anyways, the adepts are here. They will start to go down with this. Stays alive just barely, but link speed's going to be done pretty quickly. Dark has only been allowed to mine out of this gold base for just a little bit of time. Just a little bit of time. And behind this, of course, there's a Twilight on the way. Twilight openers, very rare in this matchup, but if you're going to open up 2 gate pretty quickly, you're not going to go Stargate behind it. Maybe you do. Maybe you do. But that is a wild decision to make. And MaxPax, while he's a very creative player, I don't think he's going to go, I don't think he's quite TLO levels of insanity. So this adept will go down once again. It's the only one on the map, I think. And remember, this is Glaives behind this. You want Glaive, or you want as many adepts as possible on the map, just about as long as possible, because by doing that, you build your adept count out, and that means that you're going to have more power from the attack, etc., etc., etc. As one of our Spanish language casters is paused for just a second, so we're going to wait for him to come back, hopefully regain his connection. Even if every single time we hop into a lobby, I get the whole, who's BeoMulf? No offense, Chip Charlie, I have been doing this longer than you have. But anyway, we're going to wait for this one to resolve, and I'm kind of curious. Theoretically, this Adept Glaive build is very good against what Dark is doing. Because, well, I mean, I can't move on the minimap because we're paused, but there's one base off to the right side on the gold, and then he's got his natural in the main base. Adepts circulate significantly faster than anything that Dark is going to have. So Chip Charlie has unfortunately left the game. I think his co-caster is still going to be able to do that. If you want to watch the Spanish language, one of the Spanish language broadcasts. Of course, the other one is Anki, who I think Anki's pretty cool. He does a very good job of getting me replays when I need replays. So big fan of Anki there. But anyway, adepts are now warping in. There was one stalker in the wall, and maybe that was going to be enough to convince Dark that, oh, no, this is not Glaive Adepts. Well, 5 Adepts shading across the map is going to be enough to convince him. The trick is, this is kind of a, oh, no, MaxPax has to recall immediately. He's going to lose 2, I think. Oh, doesn't lose a single Adept. I thought he was going to lose 2, so at the very least, there's that. But these Adepts are now incredibly low. They lose their first move out immediately. The Robo was done, but the Warp Prism is actually kind of slow on things because MaxPax, I think, was briefly supply blocked. This game is, I'm not going to say it's an unmitigated disaster for MaxPax, but it's not a good one. It really is not a good one. So now the Adepts move out on the map once again. More of them will of course, be created. Dark holds the middle. He's got vision on everywhere that MaxPax would like to go. The Warp Prism's still not out yet. We are 5 minutes in. And MaxPax is still not ready to really hit this timing that he would like. And by the way, Dark is doing this thing a little bit differently. This is it's not the TRG build, which is Lings and Roaches. No, this is 3 Ravagers and a bunch of Lings. He's going to try to surround these Adepts, drops Biles on top of their heads, and nuke them down pretty much ASAP, which is good. Again, Dark has a lot of minerals, doesn't have as much gas. 300 gas is a lot more than committing to all of those Roaches. So Adepts are going to, oh, do you shade on top of these Ravagers? I don't think so. But MaxPax now moving north side to maybe try to find his way into the natural. A couple Adepts here. Oh, Dark's going to take the bait. He's, oh, 3 Adepts. That's great. He's going to kill him. Sure, fine. There are a ton of Adepts getting ready to move on into his natural right now. He sees what's happening. Lings are beelining their way on over. But the problem is the Ravagers are a little bit far behind. Actually, no, they're not. They're right where they need to be. Adepts into the main base. Lings are slowly getting on top of this. But they are starting to fall down. Drones are going to have to get pulled away from this. But for now, Lings are on top of everything. Ravagers, they don't want to drop the Biles, though. This is the one position that the Adepts are probably safest. Because, again, you don't want to drop Biles on top of your own drones. Even still, Dark, for the moment, is doing a really nice job of defending against this. But this is where it gets a little bit dicey. Because, hey, these Adepts, you can have them in 2 clusters. The army of Dark kind of has to stay together. And that means that Adepts in the main base, Adepts in the natural, which... do we call the gold base a natural? I don't know. Regardless of what it is, Adepts are just about everywhere. And that is theoretically MaxPax's moment, but Dark is doing he got caught off guard for a second, but really didn't lose a lot. So now that means is that, well, Dark is in a fine spot. He is held on against all this pressure. He really isn't, MaxPax is not really getting all that much done. Now, there's a world where the last couple of Adepts start to get damage done, because it's always like the last 2 that go in and you think you've held, and 2 Adepts kill your entire drone line, and it's pretty sad. But for now, Dark, he's got his 3rd base, or he's got his 3 bases set up. He's got a ton of Roaches, Roach speed on the way. And I like what we're seeing from MaxPax here. He's got Warp Prism speed. That's going to be the name of the game. He's got Disruptors getting added in. It's going to be for Disruptor drops. Disruptors against this timing coming out of Dark are really nice. But Dark has a lot of Lings, all right? So Ravagers and Roaches against a bunch of Disruptors are pretty bad. They don't split very well. They're chunky. You can eat really juicy shots pretty easily. But now we're looking at Charge Lot Disruptor. Flank comes in from the right side. Dark tries to target him down. Is he gonna get it? Not a single shot. Well, he gets 1 shot, but it really is not all that much of anything. Miles are gonna try to land on down, but the Zealots have charge. They're stuck in the cluster though. So this is pretty awkward. This is not what you're looking for. Ling's just buffering for everything. And Dark, I almost don't think you want to break these down. You of course do, because it's less production, but you have this incredible choke where the Zealots try to run forward on top of everything. The Biles go forward. Now Disruptor shot 1. It gets a Ravager, and actually just a Ravager. Zealots getting on top of these Roaches as well. And on it, MaxPax is doing a pretty good job of holding this. Now, it's still dicey, but the Ravagers are starting to fall down. Roaches are starting to fall down. And can MaxPax, I look at the supply and it tells a different story, but if you can get some big Disruptor shots, maybe that's going to be enough. He's getting some good trades here. He's starting to knock things down, but I think it's just because the reinforcements of Dark were not where they needed to be. Not just yet. The Disruptor shots are good, but they're not great. And Dark takes game 1. And actually it's a 15-15, as one does. But anyways, looking at this game, game 1, we saw MaxPax kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like when you see the Zerg take that gold base like that, you really feel incentivized to kill him. It is begging. It is absolutely begging for you to go and take and go for Glaive Adepts. That's kind of that's what you're looking for. Now, unfortunately, Dark is aware of this, and by going for this build, he is almost baiting MaxPax to go in for Glaive Adepts, for things like just for that level of aggression, and he's planning for it just from the get-go. So, yeah, is it easy to hold on to? Not necessarily. still, it's still hard to handle for every reason that MaxPax is deciding to go for the build. The natural is so far away from the third base. There's the circulation issues. The fact that the drone line can be hit from two sides, all of these things make life really, really hard for the Zerg player. But if you're aware of it, you can prep for it and makes it that much easier. And Dark is just so good that for any given strat, he feels like he's probably gonna win if he does it, and if he knows what's coming, he's probably gonna win. So where do we go in this game number 2? Now, of course, we are on Golden Aura. It is the most defensive map. You can make an argument for Radhuset, but for my druthers, at least in commonly played maps, we're looking at Golden Aura as the most defensive map that exists in the map pool right now, which is very good for a defensive Protoss. It's good for a Stargate opening. And the question then is what does Dark do? How does he decide to play against this? Does he play defensively as well, rush up to Hive and go Broodlords or Ultras, or I mean, probably not Broods. Broodlords are a specific answer to specific things, but you can maybe do other things. You can go and go just get your Hive pretty quickly and get Ultras and Vipers and do something like that, and play Lurker play. We saw just how many Lurkers that Dark made in that Astrea series. And granted, that was a bit of a silly game in game 3, but Dark at one point had 27 Lurkers on the map. I think that's what the number was, which is pretty much your entire army. And Lurkers unsupported are not very good. Worked out for him though at the end of the day, and well, here we go. Second Oracle. Yeah, first Oracle on the map, second Oracle on the way, which means this Overlord will go down, and that's just gonna be a little bit less eyes. Actually, Dark's gonna be supply blocked by this just briefly, and actually a little bit longer than that. He's 52 out of 52. This Overlord will go down, and even as another one gets made, yeah, so he's supply blocked right now. It's kind of annoying. You can go and you can build other things. You can build the spores that you need to deal with the oracles and do things like that. So it's not the end of the world that he's supply blocked right now, because he has other things to spend money on, and he's not gonna run into a position where he has 3 larvae on bases, which means that really is the problem when you're supply blocked, because you're losing larva efficiency, which is a big deal when you're trying to rush up to 66 drones just about as quickly as possible. That being said, Oracles are now onto the other side of the map. Third one's on the way. That'll be used defensively for just a little bit, and Oracles think about diving into the main base. That's going to be a free creep tumor. That's very nice. But the Queens are not quite in position to defend the mineral line. Not enough. It's only going to be a single drone, though. MaxPax, you want more than that. You want 5 or 6 drones when you open this Stargate style, and that's pretty fun. Now, Dark, though, he's opened up melee. Okay. This is fun. Now, this may be what is currently in the meta. I'm a little bit out of date at the moment. I have not been able to consume as much Starcraft as I would like recently because A, Stormgate stuff, and B, just HD has been owning my life. I've been very busy. But regardless, this was the meta. This 50-50 style +1 melee speedling thing was very much the meta back 2 years ago when Hero was redefining PvZ. Absolutely. These adepts are going to try to shade into this mineral line. Lings are here. They don't have +1 just yet. These adepts are in a really, really nice spot. So we're going to see MaxPax, I assume, target some of these drones down. 2 workers will fall, but nice, really nice pull actually coming out of Dark. So this is 5 adepts for some Lings and 2 drones. Well, I guess 4 adepts. One will survive, but that is not really worth it. Not to the level that you're really looking for if you're MaxPax right now. He's got Blink on the way, +1 on the way. And this is somewhat of a delayed layer coming out of Dark. Well, no, I'm sorry. This is a quick layer coming out of Dark. What am I saying? Quick layer coming out of Dark with +1. Something in the back of my head says this. I mean, he's like, nope, not even in the back of my head. There are 6 gas on the map, +1 melee's on the way. It's a quick layer. Dark's going to play Mutas. He's going Spire in this game number 2. And Dark is so good at this style of just being as annoying as possible and then forcing the base trade. Making it so that the Zerg player can, or the Terran player, or the Protoss player, there we go. We're going to list the races and get to it. Make it so the Protoss player can never get to the map. Now, I said that this was going to be Spire, and I really did think that. 6 gas, nothing is being spent on, +1 melee. You get a Roach Warren defensively. This is a very quick infestation pit. So I guess this might just be for quick ultras. We have seen Dark do that before. He did it in EPTNA 215. I forget who he played against, but we saw him do that in 215. And it's weird. Well, a Nidus play. What is happening right now? So there's a Nidus network going down. Swarm host. See, I see this. I'm like, I looked at the infestation pit. I'm like, Swarm host Nidus. Sure, fine. But he's getting +1 melee. And generally, if you go the Swarm host like this, you're getting +1 range because A, it buffs the Swarm host, and B, that's a great stasis. My goodness, that's an incredible stasis. A, it buffs the Swarm host. B, it buffs the roaches that you get with the Swarm host. It's just a wild build. Dark's in the kitchen. I'm assuming that he's cooking, but it might be over a coal stove. It might be over like a wood stove and might be over a cast iron stove that hasn't been cooked in like 100 years, and it's just as likely to crack open and split apart as it is to actually cook a delicious meal. We're gonna have to find out. For now, though, the stasis trap bought a lot of time. MaxPax bit of a forward position, and this is a wonderful force field for him out of this stasis trap to allow the Stalkers to maybe make a little bit more. Now, again, these are +1 lings. They are on creep. They will do a heavy number on these Stalkers, but you have Oracles on top to do the bonus damage to make sure that really not a ton of damage is done. Now, the Swarm hosts are done, and they're on the other side of the map here. This base is about to get Locust. The probes are the probes are just gonna have to run away. This is a dead 4th Nexus. Yes, there's an overcharge. It's not gonna do it in time. That is damage done. And sure, there are other things you can do, but MaxPax takes a whole incredible amount of damage. And if I'm MaxPax, I'm like, what the hell is this? You just showed me +1 lings. You showed me roaches. Why are there 10 Swarm hosts killing my Nexus? Why has this happened? This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And by the way, as the storm lands, but it really doesn't get a ton. By the way, there's a Hydra Den on the way. There's a Hive on the way here. Dark's got +2 melee on the way, despite getting all these ranged units. This makes not a lot of sense, but look, it's working for him. And part of the reason this is working is it doesn't really make a ton of sense. Because, like, who in the world would do this? Now, storms on these lings are going to be nice, but also friendly fire on probes are not really what you want, as we see both shield batteries go down, and at least MaxPax stays alive. At least he's got that one going for himself. But Dark's kind of all over MaxPax at this point. Dark is just really playing fast and loose with this playstyle. This feels... It's funny, I look at this, and simultaneously I'm saying, wow, this feels too weird to be really the plan. And this also feels far too weird to be something that he's just freestyling. So I don't know. But Banelings are now going to try to find their way into this base, as storms are going to be pretty nice, actually. And these Banelings don't really make great connections. But on the left side, okay, Swarm hosts on the north side, going to try to target this base down. Not all the storms are done. Meanwhile, on the left side, tons of roaches are going to try to break 2 bases all at the same time. Now, this base somehow barely survives. Not even with the shield battery, but just barely survives. And the other side, Pack shuts down production, but does not get the base. So there is that. Meanwhile, roaches are going to try to rotate on over. No, not going to get the base here, Dark. I'm sorry about that. But you're not going to get the base. And a Ravager dies. Ooh, on the backside. That's a little bit awkward. Banelings come crashing in and will kill this Nexus, though. So MaxPax is just... This is just this weird game. I'm getting serious Dark versus Stray game 3 vibes on this one. Dark is just playing fast and loose with everything. Like, oh, yep, I got Locust here, and I got Lurkers there, and it's just gonna be fun. He's gonna target down static defense because there's enough defense right now. MaxPax at about 160 supply +2 attack. These Locusts won't really kill everything at the moment. We're gonna have to see what exactly happens. And now the 4th base is gone. MaxPax is losing a lot of probes on the long distance mining. But the serious question we have to ask ourselves as we look at what's happening here is not only can MaxPax hold on against this army, which is kind of doing, he's just lost 17 probes, and that's not great. But can he hold on against the next army? Because Dark finally is getting some ranged upgrades, only +1 of them though. But he's got 5 Hydras. These are going to turn into 5 Lurkers. Seismic Spines are just about done. Although in fairness, this army that you kind of want to... these Locusts are not going to do much of anything. Fun fact, by the way, as they all go down, is that a Nidus, or that a Stasis Trap, kills the Locust. It lasts longer than the Locust has a lifespan, so you can actually go and just... It's a pretty nice little bit of tech that you can do to make sure that the Locusts, even if they land, they don't really do much of anything. As Stormhost on the... Or, excuse me, Stormhost Nidus on the north side. It's going to get found out here. Energy not getting spent on this. And remember, Dark, he's not this insane drone count. He's only on 71. He does have 5 bases. That's going to be pretty nice for him. He's got this. He's drawing up a little bit more now. But I said the Dark is like this old cast iron stove. I agree. Cast iron skillets are great cooking elements, but it's an old cast iron stove that has not experienced heat in like 300 years and suddenly gets shocked up to 500 degrees and gets water splashed down it or something. Like, it may work and you may get really solid cooking, or it may crack in half. I'm never really sure when we're watching it, when we're watching Dark, but anyway, this does feel like he's making a delicious meal. Although, that being said, there's no anti-air to deal with these oracles, and they're killing off a ton of these lurker. Storms as well are beautiful, and MaxPax starting to build a pretty nice conky with shield battery overcharge, keeping these immortals alive. MaxPax feels like he's crushing through this, and then you kind of look at the supply and realize that, wait a minute, MaxPax is crushing this army, absolutely, but his economy is kind of crap. And he's down 50 army supplies. So, even that, in fairness, decent percentage of that army supply is in this 30 supply of swarm hosts, which they don't fight. They do kill buildings pretty nicely. Now that they +1, they kill buildings even better. I think they could have gotten this Nexus, but they didn't target it down. Instead, separate probes. They got a cannon. They're A-moved on whatever they can find. So it's 12 dead probes, some static defense. It's other things going down, but more lurkers are on the way. And Dark remaxes once again his economy again. It's going like gangbusters. MaxPax is slowly starting to build up an army that I can believe in. I'm not going to say MaxPax is going to win this game. By the way, he's still his economy is still absolutely shot. But MaxPax is starting to he's got +3. He's building more robos, so he's going to be on, what is that? He's going up to 3 robos. If he can maybe hold 1 or 2 more waves against Dark, he's going to be maybe playable. But Banelands get on top of so much of the tech that he needs, on top of all of his storms and the lurkers on the north side, which are getting targeted down by the oracles, to be totally fair. Zealots on the other side of the map are getting 12 drones of damage. So it's a 50 supply gap, not a 70 supply gap that it once was. Lurkers, well, they're all dead. Locusts are going to try to show up in this base. MaxPax has to pull the probes away, and he's not doing so at the moment. So losing far more than he realistically should, but he holds on. He gets damage done on the other side of the map. This Nidus will fall once again. Problem is, he's got no High Templar. He has 0 High Templar. And that does cause some problems. But if you look at resources lost, wow. I was going to say, it feels like Dark might have been trading a little bit worse, but it is literally identical. Down to about 50 minerals, or 50 resources, which is absolutely insane. But anyway, Stormhost drops on the... Where'd that head pop? Oh, okay, right over there. Stalkers are going to find the lurkers, though, and they're going to almost kill one. But Dark is just ever so slowly taking the map. He's got the gold base on the bottom side that gives Golden Aura its name. And again, like, if MaxPax can win another massive fight, and he didn't quite win well enough. He lost too much economy with the Locust showing up in the last fight. But if he can win one more big fight, he's probably... I don't even know if it's fair to say he can march across the map. Yeah, he's just going to tap out. GGG. Dark takes game number 2. As he goes 15-15 once again, just to make sure that he gets that natural down as he would like. I am so excited to go see what exactly we're going to go for in this game number 3. Dark has been just wild in his builds in this tournament. We saw him go, he proxy hatched against Estrella, and it was a really weird game. Obviously, Dark has been proxy hatching more and more, but it was still a pretty weird game. And then we just saw this +1 melee into Swarm Host nonsense from Dark in game number 2. Maybe we see something different in game number 3. I truly... When it comes to Dark and MaxPax, depending on the matchup, can be somewhat predictable. You know, he's going to go 3-gate blink or 4-gate blink against a Terran player, and he's going to win with it 99 games out of 100. Well, maybe he's not going to win 99 games out of 100, but he is going to play that build 99 games out of 100 games, or 95. He'll go Stargate occasionally, but not that often. And Dark, well, he is the absolute... He's the antithesis of doing weird things. In fact, like, half the time, watching him and Hero play is also really fun because they both fly so hard by the seat of their pants. They're like, this sounds fun. I'll go and I will go Mask Lava Depths against a Terran player. Because I'm behind. I'm like, oh, sure, Hero, fine. Actually, that's really funny because Hero, like his default, oh wow, I'm really behind against maybe not against Zerg, but the other two races is in fact to go for those glaives. He does it against Protoss if he thinks they're going charge lots and he's behind. He'll go it against Terrans if he thinks he can make it work and they're behind. Like, Hero is a sneaky supporter of glaives. And it's pretty funky to see because no one else really believes in them. Anyways, Lings are going to show up in the natural because there's no wall here. Even if there was a probe or an adept in the wall, it was never going to block things because, hey, there's a whole other area you can take a look at. So Dark gets a full scout of the main base, sees exactly where the pylons are, sees what is being made, sees the Stargate, and, well, did Dark see the Stargate? I assumed he did, but saw the pylon, knows that there's likely something right there, but did not actually see the Stargate. I think it's a fair assumption, though, because you didn't see a Twilight anywhere, and, well, it's only a single gate opening, so I think it's a fair assessment that this is likely. And it's also, like, Oracles, you show up 90% of ZVP, of PvZ games. Man, Starcraft music is so good. Like, I really enjoy some other game soundtracks, but just in terms of just utter classics, the Starcraft music is just so good. Kind of unfair, actually. It's illegal, and I know I've been abusing the word, but it's kind of unfair, you know. I wish other games could have. Like, I like Stormgate soundtrack, but we don't really have a lot of it yet. And let's be real, Brood War Terran blows everything out of the water, and that's not saying anything against any soundtrack in particular. Brood War Terran just blows everything out of the water. As these Adepts and this Oracle on the third base are going to try to get some damage done, and they do get damage done. They do kill a piece of larva, which is actually fairly impactful because that means that drones don't spawn directly on the base. They're going to have to be rallied over. It is a little bit of it's a tiny bit of damage. But Dark is building 7 overlords. That's gotta be a mistake, right? There's no Roche Warren down. You're not freeing supply up for anything. Well, I guess good news for a Dark fan. You are not going to be supply blocked for, I think, the rest of this series. I don't think you're going to ever be supply blocked again, Dark. Well done. Have fun with that one. It's a hidden Evo, too. This smells like +1 melee again. Anyway, that's just got to be a mistake. I don't even really know. But Dark, for now, he's going to have a bunch of Adepts shade into his natural. He's not going to really do that, though. Plenty of Lings here for now. But I really do like, actually, what we're seeing from these Adepts and this Oracle as well. Just doing a really good job of clearing creep away. Adepts thinking about shading into the main base, into the natural. They're not really going to do that. Queens are in good position, but the 4th base was canceled. So Dark MaxPax doing a really nice job of distracting Dark and making that happen. But Lings are now going to get on top of these Adepts. 2 will fall, and the Oracle takes some pretty heavy damage. So Dark does take a bit of a win, even as his 4th base is delayed. And Lings are going to try to get on top of this and wasting Oracle energy. They're not going to be able to defend the next hit. So yes, the 4th base continues to be delayed here, but these Adepts are somehow going to shade forward. I guess the Oracle, that's the last of the Oracle energy, though, for the time being. And Dark really does need to rotate his Queens over if he wants to take this position. It looks like he's just going to go forward, which is fine. He's playing a Ling-based style. You want to rally. You want to probably have that rally. Well, no, I'm going to disagree with myself there because a forward hatch with Roaches is great because you're able to go and your Roaches are slower so they can start to reinforce even quicker. Against Lings, the Lings are fast. They're going to be on creep. Who really cares where they spawn from for the most part? It's probably not going to make that big of a difference. But okay. The lair is just about done. It is a much slower lair than game number 1, to be clear. It was not the crazy quick infestation. Well, we're not going to see nearly as quick of an infestation pit in game 2 that we saw in game number 1. It's still going to go down right as the lair is complete. And Dark, are you going to do it again? I doubt it. This is a solid minute later, and that is a significant difference. Is Dark going to do it again? Is he going to go for Swarmos? I don't know. Stalkers are on the map. They have Blink. They have +1. A Warp Prism's going to join them fairly quickly, and honestly, Dark's Link count is not incredible. In fact, he's down on army supply against the Protoss player, which is always that kind of scary moment where you're like, oh, I am in trouble right now. This does not feel good. I want to have that supply lead for the majority of these timings, but he doesn't have it. And the Baneling Nest is just about done. Infestation Pit is done. Roaches are being made. +2 melee, +1 carapace. Is this going to be that Ultra Rush? Which, again, I don't really like against Stalkers, so I hope he doesn't. I don't really think that's very good, but for now, Stasis Trap doesn't catch a lot. Lings on top of these Stalkers. This Stalker count is really nice. And with these Stasis Traps as well as Queens continue to go down, it's a hard position really for Dark to fight into. He's got plenty of Lings, right? They do have +1, but the Stalkers continue to trade. Stasis Traps means you cannot chase this. And Dark has this quick Infestation Pit. He's got the Hive on the way. There we go. Okay, so this will be for the quick Hive, which again says likely quick Ultras, but I don't think that's very good here. Spot or Stasis Trap will get targeted down. There's one more on the map, and Dark playing on the edge of creep. He's got this Warp Prism that's distracting him just a little bit. Queens are in a wonderful position on this 4th base, or this 5th base, whatever you want to call it, to make sure that that does not find much of anything. But again, army supplies are equal. This pressure for MaxPax is really and truly bearing fruit. Dark's trying to get ready for maybe a bit of a surround, but it's going to be just a little bit too late. Final Stasis Trap is going to be here. Oracle's turn on that, and the Stasis Trap is really, really good. Half the army here of Dark's not able to fight. He's committing to it because he feels like he has to, and it feels like MaxPax is starting to maybe punch through this, but there are more Lings on the way, more injects possible, and now we're on 5 hatch, so more Lings get made time after time after time. MaxPax has +2 armor, though. He's got +3 tech just about done. These Stalkers are very, very strong. And he's just choking this thing, this ramp up. It's very hard for Dark to get on top. Oh, okay, never mind. I'm talking about quick Ultras and things. What am I? He may do that. I don't think he can afford that in this guy. He's got 1,000 gas, so maybe. But this is for quick Adrenal. This is for effectively an additional +3 on top of your Lings, which is really good against all these Stalkers. So yeah, okay, I'll buy that actually. I mean, I'll be less critical against Dark, because that's fair. I mean, he's a professional player, and I am absolutely not. But that's a lot of Lings trapped in the stasis, and MaxPax continues to put the pressure. He's got his 5th base on the way. +3, +2 charge getting added in. You do have to wonder, though, as this surround is properly getting set up by Dark, and MaxPax does have a bit of a position to escape. Well, that's a bunch of slow Zealots on this base. It's a little bit funky there. Banelings are going to try to show up. They don't have speed just yet, but they'll still kill. Yeah, there we go. Zealots should take pretty juicy shots, and that means that this base will stay alive. Where's the army on the north side, though? Is this base going to stay alive? That is a very important question. The answer is no, they're not. So MaxPax successfully out multitasks Dark just a little bit. Zealots on the bottom side. On the north side, of course, base will fall to Dark. Now a 4-base Zerg against a 5-base Protoss. Soon to be 6-base Protoss. And Dark is prepping for the transition. I guess he's got 3 Vipers. I do like the idea of Vipers. Let's be clear, Vipers are a pretty cool idea. You drop the blinding cloud on top of the Stalkers. They can't fight. It messes with their AI. But I don't know that I would get 3 of them when there's no tech. And what I think Dark is doing here, he's prepping for the next round of tech for like Immortals or Colossus or pretty much anything. But as it stands, 3 Vipers aren't really, I don't think they're necessarily the best expenditure right now. And Dark, he is maxed out. He's got a ton of minerals, but really not a lot of gas. This 4th base will get canceled once again. And Dark needs to find some counter pressure here. It's just been MaxPax leaning into him for this entire game with more Stalkers than I have friends. And Zealots are going to try to go on a run by, but Dark is, well, he has less positions to defend, which I guess is good for him and bad for him. Good for him because it means he's less likely to take damage. Bad for him because he's already taken the damage, right? It's not all that great. So Ling's looking for the surround there as Kindness Plate is going to be done soon. Ultras are getting added into this army. Dark says, okay, I'm going to expand bottom side, which, by the way, a bunch of Zealots are going to find, so that doesn't really feel all that good. And MaxPax, gateway units are not very good. But when you're up on upgrades, up 2 upgrades, up 1 upgrade now, and you have just you're maxed out of them like this, it's pretty solid. So the base is going to go down. Dark's not going to be able to get that one. Stasis Trap once again is a problem. Oh, there we go. Parasitic Bomb on these Oracles should knock down a decent amount of them. And we saw, well, Viper falls. Nice target fire there, MaxPax. Means that he will lose one of those Vipers. Ling Run Bite doesn't get a ton really either. So every axis, Dark is maxed out, absolutely, but every axis, it doesn't feel really good for him. It feels like MaxPax is really starting to run forward on top of this, but he does have to back up. There's a Stasis Trap right there. Lings and an Ultra are going to force these Zealots back, and maybe Dark has built the army that he needs. He's got to find an opening. He's got to find this avenue. Meanwhile, Zealot run by into the natural. Queens cannot target this War Prism down in time, so they're just going to die to these +3 attack Zealots. Lings on the defense, not really all that great. North side, Lings are going to burr off. There's a big recall, and that's going to be actually a ton of Stalkers. Actually, these Lings might be enough to kill the rest of these Stalkers, and the Zealots are going to get handled. MaxPax is throwing everything at Dark right now, and Dark is doing such a nice job of defending, but he needs another base. At the end of the day, the long and short of it is that Dark needs another base. He doesn't have it. He's only on 4 hatch, or he's got 5 hatches, but he's only on 4 bases. We're rapidly getting to this point that this army that Dark has is the last army that Dark's going to have in this game. So he's got to expand bottom side. He's got that on the way. But he really does. Oh, that's a nice Parasitic Bomb Queen combination. War Prism falls. That is less power on the map for MaxPax right now. Finally, Dark might be able to go and do something. And he has to do something because not only is his economy horrible and he needs to equalize that, he is on Mass Ultra Ling. His opponent's on double Robo. He's building more and more Immortals, and the Banelings are going to crash through the stack defense here, and that's actually really good. Remember, Ultras are actually really bad against static defense, so you got to be careful on that one. Run buys onto 2 bases here and attack at the front. Dark's just trying to equalize this game in one fell swoop, and it feels like he's doing it. MaxPax doesn't really feel like he's got, well, there's a lot of dead Ultras, actually. Well, he's going to burrow them. Okay. He's going to burrow the Ultras wherever he can. More detection is going to go down. These Ultras are dead. Stalkers and Oracles, between bonus damage to Armored and between having spell damage, the Ultras get shredded. So MaxPax loses his 5th base. 6th base, really. What was once his 5th base. Dark has been able to establish his own. So economy is notionally the same, but again, this tech is not. I guess it's only 3 Immortals right now, but more are on the way pretty much as we speak. This one Ultra here is Dark. He tried to go around the back, did not work, so that is a little bit awkward. Immortal will kill off the rest. This Ultra is dead. Not even gonna get a pylon. Ignominious end for this Ultra. Now Stalkers are going to run forward. Immortals on the left side. And technically, Mass Ling is really good against this. It is so good against Immortals and Stalkers. What I feel like... Oh, that's a dead Immortal. Very nice there. We got only 1 War Prism, so you can only save so many of them. What I feel like I would like to see, really just get a couple Infestors. At this point, just get a couple Infestors. Lock the army in position. Don't let them get picked up. Don't let them get saved. Really just don't let that happen. So Banelings are going to try to crush into this, but the splits are pretty good for MaxPax. Meanwhile, run by right side is going to get handled. Attack on the left side. Well, it's not going to go well at all. Dark loses every single thing. Storms were good. Immortals were good. Stalkers were good. There we go. Sorry about that. We have fixed ourselves. I pressed the wrong button again. Oopsie daisy, but that was a horrible fight for Dark. That was really bad. He was trying to go and win at least one of them, at least knock out an economy, at least win a fight, but he's down about 30 army supply now. He does not have the tech to deal with this. He will lose the bottom side base, which wasn't really even mining anyway, so Dark says that's fine base trade. I've got +3, I've got 3/3 Lings, I've got Adrenal. I'm gonna maybe kill one of these Immortals before they recall. It's not gonna get that, but I'm gonna kill a lot of MaxPax's bases. And I still have maybe some world where I win this game. I'm not holding my breath, but if Dark can win a fight, he's absolutely still in this. He's now up 30 army supply, or 30 workers. He's got more mining technically. There we go. Okay, there's the Infestor. That's what we're looking for. We do have Burrow as well. Lings are going to try to jump on top. So such a good stasis. Lings need to jump on top of the Stalkers without jumping on top of the Archons. The Archons are a problem that are just not solvable right now. The Stalkers continue to run forward. We continue to see this base trade. Dark can't win a fight on either side. He's down 40 army supply, and more importantly, look at the army value here. It's 4,000 gas more, 3,000 minerals more. Dark has been playing this style, but he's just kind of been behind the entire time. Oh no, an Infestor goes down as well, and that is so important to Dark winning this game. Losing that Infestor does not feel good. So MaxPax now, he's got insane. How many Archons? 12 Archons on the map. You're not winning this fight, Dark. Yes, the supplies look equal, but you look at the army supply and you realize, it's economy. MaxPax has the army that's going to win this game. Nothing is going to fight this. Certainly not as the armies bring themselves together. Dark's going to go for one last ditch effort, but Fungal doesn't do anything. Feedback means that there's only going to be one of them. And as these ultras go down, we are going to have another game. MaxPax wins game number 3. And as we get here in this game number 4 of our series, perhaps the last game of the series, if you like what I do, you should go and sub to the channel if you're watching this on YouTube, because every single day of the week, or as many as I can, I'm not perfect, but most days, you're going to have a Stormgate VOD. You're going to have a Starcraft VOD. You're going to have something like that. And also, go follow my Twitch, because I stream live on Twitch as well. Although, if you prefer YouTube, I stream live on YouTube pretty much every time I'm live on Twitch. Sometimes it doesn't really work out, but generally, if I'm live on Twitch, I'm live on YouTube. So, sub to YouTube, follow me on Twitch. If you want to sub to me on Twitch too, or I'm not going to say no. That being said, Dark, for the first time in a while, is not going for the 15-15. He's going to take his natural at the third base because the pro block is very annoying and not something that Dark properly wants to deal with. So third base or natural on position on the third. And did we see Swarm Host again? My gut says this is a once a series, once in a blue moon type of build out of Dark. It's certainly the melee into Swarm Host thing. But this is a pretty decent map for it if MaxPax decides to take the triangular third, which I don't think he does, but if he does, you have rocks right here. You can put Swarm Host behind and just hide away and do that. Otherwise, you got a high ground to play around with, and you got this ramp. There's this position right here. Swarm Host can go in and put pressure on. It's not a bad Swarm Host map. So what madness are we going to find is Kevale in Twitch chat says, I feel like at their level, they can't just do standard builds anymore. The game is too figured out. And I think for MaxPax and Dark, that may be true. But it's not because the game is too figured out. It's because they have such a deep understanding of the game, and because of their desire to kind of foment chaos. And actually, no, that's true for Dark. MaxPax does play a lot of standard builds. Sometimes he's got some madness, but in general, he plays some pretty standard stuff. He just executes it super well. But it depends on the player. So Cure, for example, is cut out of the cloth of innovation. He's going to do the same thing over and over again and expect the same result, which is victory. And there's a reason that he's the second best Terran in Korea right now. You see Clem, 80% of the time in TVZ, he's going to go Hellion Banshee. He's going to go play 4-base play. Like, that's Clem. And the other 20% is going to be Nate Rax, probably. Like, there are these players that really lean into doing the same thing over and over again, and they iterate on it, and they just do it really well. And then there are players like Darker Hero that are maybe not quite as crisp in their builds. Not always. They certainly do have crisp, timed out builds, but maybe not as crisp in all of their builds, and maybe not as crisp mechanically on a kind of macro level as some other players. I mean, Hero doesn't even use hotkeys. He just rebinds whatever he's got in front of him to micro with, and liberal use of F2, which is just... Shout out to Pig for thinking to look for that. Like, it's wild. Or Dark, who he's so sloppy. He makes so many mistakes, but he's the best player at, like, he understands how to optimize his economy at a way that no one else does. That's a lot of damage on that Oracle. Still 3 workers go down, so MaxPax are gonna be pretty happy in this in his pursuit of this reverse sweep. Now Dark is going for a very quick lair. Like an extremely quick lair. It started at right around the 4-minute mark. And this can be a couple things. This can be a Ling Queen Nidus maybe, which is a really solid option against the Stargate opener. It can be a German taxi type of build. It can be a Queen drop Ling type of aggression build. And we're going to see a bunch of Overlords on the way. So Dark is, first of all, supply block to 58. We talked about Dark making mistakes and then doing optimizations elsewhere to make up for it. Well, there's your mistake. 6 Overlords on the way. And by the way, we do not have a Roach Warren. This is just Ling Queen. Speed is done. If this was going to be a German taxi type of thing, I would expect to see Overlord speed on the way. We don't have that. So Ling Queen Nidus is what it's feeling like. We're going to have 150 gas, 160 gas by the time the layer is done. It's only 2 gas guys. So there we go. Okay. Ling Queen Nidus on the way. Coming out Dark in this game number 4. And again, against this style where it's going to be Link eventually, but not all that quickly, and it's just you have a bunch of stuff in the air, Link Queen Nidus solves that tremendously nicely. where this goes, though, whether MaxPax is able to... Oh, I like this as well. With the additional gas that Dark is making, he's got a Bailey nest on the way. So there's a pretty cool thing you can do, and I don't think we're going to see it here. Oh, he's Nidusing at the front. Okay, so we're going to see a Nidus first at the front, and then this is to distract MaxPax forward, and then we're going to see a Nidus in the main base. And there's a pretty cool thing you can do, where you front load the Nidus with Baneling. There we go. Queens are going to pop out. Creeps going to start to get spread forward here. You front load the Nidus head with Baneling. And then when the Protoss player, whoever it is, tries to dive on top, it's got a bunch of Banelings in there, and you're like, oh, yeah, everything gets exploded. It's pretty cool. We don't see it as often anymore because, honestly, we don't see Nidus plays where the answer is a probe pull or a drone pull or an SCV pull quite as much anymore. So Nidus head goes forward, spreading creep here, and this is just a ton of lings. Now, there is a shield battery, and there is an overcharge available. In fact, there are multiple shield batteries here. I don't feel like I don't think MaxPax is going to have too much of an issue holding this. I mean... Okay, there are Banelings. Maybe that's going to make the difference. But there are Stalkers in the wall. And with the shield battery here, these Banelings do not bust this down. Nidus now, this is where it gets a little bit awkward because there's a Nidus in the natural. And that is going to force this wall to get a little bit awkward. Banelings are going to try to get on top of these Adepts. They will be able to do so. And a Baneling finds his way into the mineral line as well. Nidus into the natural. And this is, again, where it starts to get a little bit more awkward because... Well, actually, no, this was handled. Okay, so that's not going to be much of anything. Oracles are starting to fall down. Stalkers have blink now. They have to blink away. And now, okay, that's, man, this feels this felt very holdable for MaxPax, and it might still be. But Lings are in his natural. Now they're going to run forward. There's nothing really easily to get on top of this Nidus head that's sitting right there because Lings are buffering. And the force field, there's no sentries anymore as well. So Queens are starting to move forward here. Stalkers are going to do what they can. But... if MaxPax had the wall, if he had the position of the wall, I think he's totally holding this. As it stands, it's a little bit awkward. I think he's held this actually at the end of the day. He's got a bunch of Stalkers here. Blink, well, I'm looking at this and I'm like, yeah, good Blink micro. He blinks forward, he loses all of his Stalkers, and now it's a little bit awkward. No Links though. Not in this army at the moment. The Nidus in the natural is going to fall down. And we're not seeing the Lings rallying out anymore, so more Banelings on the way, certainly. We're going to see the Cyber Cord go down, but MaxPax built one done immediately, so there's that. And this is just our continued all-in. Dark's only on 42 drones, by the way. He does have to make this work. Stalkers are in the wall. It's not nearly as thin of a choke, so Lings are going to be able to get on top of it more and more, but you don't want the Banelings connecting into this. The Stalkers won't die, especially not with a shield battery, not with an overcharge. But I'd love this from Dark. Round one. Isn't really work out all that well. You drop a couple spines, and maybe that works out just a little bit better. But Dark has lost his forward Nidus. He's got more, of course, on the way. He's going to be able to drop another one. If he has the... Actually, he's kind of hurting on gas, building all these Banelings. So MaxPax is starting to stabilize in a pretty significant way. He's building more Zealots to just buffer as much as he can. Stalkers have to blink backwards. Lings trying to move on top, but this army is not nearly as impressive as it once was. Banelings into the mineral line, though. 9 workers go down. But there's no spores in this third base of Dark, so he's going to lose just as much as MaxPax did. And we talked about being all in. He's going to drop down to about maybe 23, 25 drones or so. It's all about these Queens. And Dark didn't really pull back. He's got to win the game right now. The Spore, in fact, well, the Oracles are going to try to bust that down. Even if they bust it down, they're not going to have a ton of energy. So Banelings into the mineral line once again, trying to bust down this cannon. They're not going to get it quickly. There we go. Now it's dead. 6 more probes go down, but it's 24 workers to 44. It really is only Queens. And by the way, that forward Nidus head is again not there. Again, Dark does not have that forward reinforcing point, and the Stalkers that Concave is really nice. So MaxPax, yeah, he's held it at this point. Absolutely. The damage he's got, he's able to get done with the Oracles on the other side. Yes, the Queens are annoying, and more Lings are getting made, but Dark cannot afford this. It's a 30 supply lead at this point. MaxPax, he's going to start to kill the... Once these Queens die, yeah. Dark is dead. MaxPax sends us to game number 5. Where are you now, people in Twitch chat who were complaining about how, man, does anything other than Zerg win anything? Well, MaxPax is 1 game away from a reverse sweep, and even if he loses a 5-game series, hotly contested like this, I'm never going to complain about that. That's a pretty decent marker of these two players being pretty evenly matched. So, 15-15 coming out of Dark in this game number 5. In the previous games in this series, that has been a marker of a melee ling play, of a quick layer, of a just a quick infestation pit play. we're just gonna have to see what Dark has in store for us, because Dark has absolutely been the aggressor in almost every game this series. The first game that MaxPax won in Game 3, MaxPax did a really good job of going for the kind of, it's not really the hero style anymore, it's just modern Protoss, where you open up oracles, then you get a lot of blink stalkers, and you get a robo, and you do that. But MaxPax did a really good job of eking out value and trading really well, and never allowing Dark to do whatever Dark wanted to do with that quick infestation pit. Didn't really happen. Dark took too much damage, eventually died, although he did make a game of it. But for the rest of the series, this has been very much a series of Dark putting pressure, leaning on MaxPax as much as possible, and MaxPax withstanding that pressure. Withstanding and surviving that pressure until he's eventually able to go and bounce back and make something happen. So it's going to be a Stargate for game number 5 here, and that shouldn't surprise anyone. That's a very solid, safe play. But does Dark go Swarmos? I feel like I've been asking this ever since he did it in game number 2, but this is also a pretty good map for Swarmos, as my mouse is not... There we go. I need to turn my mouse off and on. It's just not moving. But you kind of have the choke you can play around with. You can, you don't really want to go from here, but there's some nice high grounds. It's not that bad of a Swarmos map. I do think it is one of those things where you do it like once in a series, in a couple series, and maybe that's it. But anyway, MaxPax, Stargate on the way. First Oracle's going to get started. He's going to run across the map, do what he can. And the question now we ask ourselves, well, we're going to ask ourselves in the next minute or two is, that is a nice snipe there, nice arrest out of those probes, is whether Dark decides to build 5 overlords at a time because he gets supply block. Meanwhile, MaxPax on the other side, he's going to get 2 workers. He's going to get 3, maybe. Oh no, there's going to be a cancel. So maybe, no. Okay, he's just going to get out. He gets 3 drones with that, and he gets an adept out. That's a pretty big deal. I am not complaining out of that one whatsoever. If I'm a MaxPax fan, certainly not. And by the way, that was before the oracles hit the field. So adept gets 3 workers. Generally, you get 2 and you lose both adepts. It's like, that doesn't feel all that good. But 3 for 1 is a fantastic trade. And now Oracle's going to dive in, and the Queens were just a little bit out of position. So 2 more drones go down, and MaxPax, even before we're entering the stage of the game, we got double Oracle, and they're one-tapping drones and trying to get 5 or 6 there. MaxPax has gotten 5 drones. He has done a really nice job of putting the pressure on, and we're not really seeing anything crazy out of Dark. And there's a game number 5. He's got a natural. Sure, he's got a 3rd done. He's droning up like mad. There's no quick lair, right? There's no quick Evo chamber hiding behind a mineral line. This looks like it's going to be the most standard game that Dark is going to play today, I guess. I say I guess because I haven't seen all of Dark's games in PvZ, but it does feel like, of the series that I've cast, it is probably the most standard game, although that's still an awkwardly positioned Evo chamber. It's at a timing that it could just be just about anything, but it is in a weird spot. Generally, you kind of put that in a wall to give yourself an opportunity, but for now, we're going to see Oracles try to dive on top of these Queens, and one Oracle gets very, very low. Adept's thinking about shading it as well, but I don't think they're getting... Lings are following this. They're not really going to get a ton. So behind this, MaxPax, Twilight done. He's got his triple Oracle. Twilight's on the way, adding in a Robo as well. Blink +1. This is what won him Game 3. This is what allowed him to start to come back in this series. And quite frankly, this is the standard way that you play. Like, against a pro... in PvZ, this is by far the most standard way that people play. Now, whether it's going to work again, I mean, this is very much a game of execution. At the end of the day, this is very much a game of execution as much as anything else. Dark is going to be able to have to sustain again. This is, man, it's crazy that we're looking at this. The Adepts are the things getting the damage done in this game, not the Oracles. But Dark has lost 10 drones for, I didn't see that happen, but MaxPax lost an Oracle, I guess, in the main base when we were looking at the Adepts. So 10 drones for an Adept, for an Oracle and 4 Adepts is less nice than 10 drones for 4 Adepts. One of those you take, one of those, losing Oracles feels really bad. But look at this. This is, we talked about how you play a lot if you play Gateway style. Yes, what we saw in game number 3. This, though, is how MaxPax has been killing killing Zerg players all over the place. It's Blink Stalker, it's Colossus, but it's a macro build. We're going to see a 4th base go down pretty quickly, where you go and you get up to 4 Colossus, you put pressure on it, but you're drone up to like 76 drones, or 70, where you probe up to like 76, 78 probes, you get a 4th base. You get a 5th base. It's a macro play. It's not the 3 base all in that Blinkstalker Colossus normally is. And the difference is that Protoss players have just realized that, look, Blinkstalkers on their lonesome are a really solid composition. So if you put them forward and the Colossus can just sit back until they snipe the Vipers, then you're fine. Now look at this Dark. I don't know if this is a timing that he's going for or just a mistake, but he's got double Hydra Den on the way. So, is this gonna be for a Hydra timing? So we got Groove Spines on the way. We don't have Hydra Speed on the way yet. Looks like this was just a mistake. And honestly, I think the upgrades are quick enough at this point, post-buff, that it doesn't really make sense to go for it. So MaxPax putting pressure on. He's got 1 Colossus on the map just about right now. He's going to go up to just about 4 of them, I think. And then we're going to put pressure on. Well, he's going to continue to put pressure on, but he's going to try to kill his opponent. If he doesn't, it's no big deal. But this is Ling Hydra Bane against a bunch of Colossus. And Archons, by the way, against maybe Storm, if that's what MaxPax decides to invest in, or just a bunch of Archons to buttress this push. And MaxPax is building an army that really does just counter everything that Dark wants to go for. Colossus, bonus damage versus light, high range against the Hydras, against the Lings. Archons, bonus damage versus light, not high range, but they do crazy amounts of splash damage in close range, and they buffer really well against a bunch of Banelings. So everything that we see right here, MaxPax is building. It works out really nicely, and Stalkers are just they can trade infinitely. We saw what MaxPax did in game number 3. So 2 Colossus, 3rd one on the way. Storm getting added in. +2 attack. This is going to be the timing. +2 for Colossus. Storm. We got to add in Storm. Their Storm is going to be part of this. Very committed. It's not even a committed. Very committed timing. What am I saying? But that's the timing where MaxPax might be able to get something done. Banelings come crashing, and they don't even get a High Templar. They get 2 probes. Really not much of anything there. The first hit coming out of Dark just gets nothing done. And now Lings are going to try to move on top of this, maybe dive on top of these Colossus here, but they can just cut away. Stalkers blink away. Colossus have extended Thermal Lance, and 1 Colossus will fall, but this is, again, expensive from Dark. He has another Colossus joining the fray. Lings are going to try to get on top of the static defense, but there's a shield battery here, and they're not targeting things down quickly. There's a cannon as well. Dark continues to rally on forward, but the Colossus in the backline are killing everything. It's not the +2 timing, but it's still doing a pretty nice job. Dark is rallying more, and the Lings are trying to get on top. MaxPax does have to cut away from this. But I mean, this is blink on top of that. Kill those Hydras. This is such a success from MaxPax. Like, this was not the play whatsoever here. Dark, safer Hive. MaxPax has been gifted a push on a silver platter. He's on 2 Colossus. He's going to have 4 Colossus very soon. +2 very soon. Storm very soon. He's got a Templar? No High Templar. Okay. He's going to have to warp those in. That is something I guess they did die in the fight. MaxPax has been gifted a push. He's been gifted a timing where he would have had to fight for it early on. Now Banelings are going to try to show up here, and probe pulls a little. Fine. Okay. I thought the probe pull was a little late, but MaxPax trusted in the Archon morphing just in time. The Colossus showing up right where they had to be, and at the end of the day, MaxPax is totally fine. So there's a 5th base on the way, going up just about forward. Just a little bit further forward. I gotta say, I'm a little surprised to see MaxPax not committing for this. Maybe in a regulation game where his opponent didn't just commit to him and get nothing done and trade so much away. Maybe, sure, fine. But MaxPax, you know that Dark doesn't have a timing because he just lost about 100 supply of army into that attack and didn't really get much of anything done. So you know that Dark is not maybe in the best spot for that. What is this on the north side? That's just, okay, a bunch of Zealots getting ready for a run by. They don't have charge though, so they are very slow. They waddle on forward. It's not a run by, friends. It's a walk by. It's a nice perambulation by, it's a stroll by. But the War Prism will fall, so there's a little bit less effectiveness there and a little bit less tools to keep Dark back at home. But MaxPax is about to max out here. Charge is going to be done soon, adding in more Archons, adding in more Immortals. At what point does MaxPax... Again, this is not a all-in play. It's not really an all-in play. He's got his 5 bases. He's on 81 probes. But you do figure, even if this is not all-in and you don't really have to commit with this, like, you're maxed out. you're gonna have, I mean, he had a timing. He's probably gonna wait for +3 now in his War Prism, but like you have these timings, and you should don't let the Zerg just tech up to infinity, especially after Dark committed so much and lost so much, because Dark's maxed out again. MaxPax does have to be careful. I mean, those are good storms. Those are really good storms. Archons are gonna get surrounded, but Colossus kite back just as well as they can. Banelings get nothing done, and hey, Dark, look at his supply. It is horrible. MaxPax lost just about no supply, and Dark about 50. That is really not good. So we got detection here. We got an observer. There are, of course, lurkers on the field, but storms are going to go down on top of them. Colossus shelling away. This one immortal is going to do what it can. Hydra's on the backside, but there's just not enough of them. There really is not here. Warp Prism can try to keep, it can keep the Colossus alive, I thought, but I guess you got to be careful right there. Even still, more Colossus are going to join this fight. Zealots are getting on top of everything. Do we have detection? No, we don't. Dark targeted the detection down. That's a big deal. That does slow down everything here. MaxPax, he needs an Oracle. Does he? Apparently, he lost all of his Oracles in the defense. I'm actually a little bit surprised. I thought he would have kept one of them alive, but no. So no detection slows this down pretty significantly. If there's detection there, Dark loses the game. If there's detection, Dark absolutely just, he kills his opponent. But instead, we got to see an Oracle on the map. And by the way, there's a fleet beacon. MaxPax is adding in a mothership. Nothing else, just a mothership. Which is pretty cool. That may be the killer blow. But for now, we do have another observer in this army as it tries to run forward, put pressure on forward. A bunch of lings on the right side on this run by. Zealots are going to... Oh, they're going to... Oh, no, they cancel one of the Zealots, not the rest of them. So big surround kills off all these Zealots, and MaxPax loses an aggressive option. As by the way, he's got 4 changelings on top of his army. Dark knows where everything is. He's also on creep, so there is that, but Dark's trying to set up, well, maybe a big surround. Looks like more of a massive run by on in, but hey, these are a bunch of Zealots. They got +3. It's not the easiest thing to do, and the mothership's going to pop out very quickly here. Even if it's not used aggressively, it will be enough to keep this base alive, prevent this run by from doing really much of anything. So another base of Dark's dead. Well, first base of Dark, I guess, is going to fall down. Lings somehow... Oh, Lings get in the main base. Now, the mothership is enough to defend one of these bases, but Lings in the main base, Lings in the natural are causing problems. MaxPax all of a sudden loses 15 probes because Adrenalings are really, really good. Banelings, well, you know what? Banelings don't need to see to explode. So 28 probes go down as Dark is really starting to ravage these bases. MaxPax just caught out of position all of a sudden here, losing just about everything. Zealot's going to warp in, but man, this is so many lurkers. This is... How many lurkers is it? This is 21 lurkers from Dark at this point, which is handleable, certainly. It's not incredible, but in this position, based on the composition that MaxPax has, it is a really significant problem. So MaxPax says, that's fine. You're going to go base trade me. I'm going to base trade you. And my army, if it balls up together, if you kind of fight me piecemeal, I'm going to be in a pretty solid spot. So MaxPax warping in a bunch of Fight Templar. I think these may all be, yeah, they're all going to be for Archons there to defend the wall to make sure that happens. Meanwhile, the third base is dead. Dark, though, he does have a base on the left side and the right side. MaxPax has to make decisions on where he wants to move, and he's going to recall all the Archons into the fight here, all the army here on the mothership to bring this entire ball together. And MaxPax, he's up about 20 army supply. He has lost his 5th base. He's lost his 4th base. He's down pretty heavily in the worker count. Lost a lot of his income. The problem is, as we talk about this, he's only, well, yeah, I was gonna say the mortal count didn't look all that big. It's 6 immortals here, so he can try to bust on through this. We're gonna see the slow zone go down. MaxPax trying to win the game right now on top of all of these lurkers, but it hurts. It hurts a lot. We had a 20 army supply lead. Now we have a 20 army supply deficit. MaxPax trying to bust through that is just not the play. I think you go and kill Dark's north side base, and then you retreat home and deal with the dregs of the army that Dark has left back at home, and that's kind of what you do, and you're fine because you. So maybe keep 4 bases alive and you reset the game. But that is not what happened. But it's still, so we're in this awkward position, right, where MaxPax cannot really engage into Dark, but Dark also doesn't really want to attack into MaxPax with everything is set up with a mothership for cloaking. It gets really hard. So Dark's just going to have to give this base up. He gets the drones out, which is really nice. But this is now a 3-hatch Zerg. It is a 3-base Protoss. We're going to see a base go down, and Zealots are going to see this. Yeah, I guess they're just a little bit out of aggro range, so they're not going to get on top of this one immortal. Funnily enough, these drones could go kill this immortal. I think they have the power. I think they have the numbers to make that happen, which is just hilarious. Do you recall in the main base here? As okay, this base was canceled. You put the mothership in the main, and do you recall in the main base? It's only Hydras. If you can find a corner, maybe. So we're looking at 3 Vipers, 13 Lurkers. Those are the power units that Dark has at this point. MaxPax is on 3 bases. Dark is on 3 bases. Dark has more drones, but the main base is mined out. The natural is just about mined out. The fact that there are 30 drones mining out of 5 mineral patches doesn't really matter here. So economy is just about equivalent for both sides. Army supply is just about equivalent for both sides. But look at what's happening. So the main army here of MaxPax, it's pressuring on the north side, pressuring on this 3rd base, but the mothership was thinking about going here. There are too many Hydras. There are too many Vipers. You cannot make that happen. So instead, maybe you attack elsewhere. Maybe you take a 4th base. As we're going to see that happen, but there's one Ling here trying to cause some problems. And that, yeah, the Dark does not get that base. So MaxPax is doing a really nice job of denying the bases of Dark. Certainly he's doing that one. He's, oh, jumps on top. And oh, 3 Lurkers are going to get abducted here. In a game with the economies as they are, you can ill afford any bad trade. And three Archons for 0, just, that sticks in your craw a little bit. That it just does not spark joy. So Dark going to try to take the 4th base again. There are still a bunch of Zealots here from earlier on, and this 4th base is going to get canceled once again, but the drone will die as well. Now these Zealots, their charge was used up, so Hydras will in fact go and clean those up. And again, these are trades that MaxPax can ill afford to take. In a normal game, you'd say, it's a bunch of Zealots, whatever. You denied the base, probably worth doing. Losing 5 Zealots, losing 10 army supply like that, losing 5 Zealots like that, really is not good. That is, I mean, look, that's almost an entire, look at this. MaxPax is mining about 600, 700 minerals a minute. 500 minerals, 5 Zealots, is just about 1 minute of MaxPax's economy. To put that to kind of put that in perspective, that is a significant impact on how much MaxPax can just deal with, produce in this game. So Archons are defending the 4th base. And MaxPax, that's important to point out here. MaxPax does have a 4th base. MaxPax does have this capability to go and what just died? Oh, we don't have that. MaxPax does have this capability to go and mine a lot more than Dark does right now. Dark does have his 4th base and a 5th base on the same way at the same time. But anyways, recall into the main base. Oh man, a couple of mortals on the low ground, but these Lurkers here are dead. They are dying so quickly. The Spore is trying to knock our Colossus down, but it's not really going to be enough. And recall back home. Unfortunate. This really is unfortunate. 3 Immortals and a High Templar. They all go down. They just didn't catch the cliff. Oh, and an Archon as well. I like the idea. And, you know, from a supply perspective, I guess it does work out. That was pretty fun. Now what are we looking at? Oh, man. I thought the Lurker count might have gone down, but I wasn't paying attention to the production tab as much as I should have. And yeah, some Lurkers died, but 22 are on the map. And MaxPax is in this awkward situation where his answer has to be Immortals. He does have a fleet beacon somewhere. Yeah, he's got a fleet beacon. He's got a Stargate. Building 5 Tempest doesn't really feel like that bad of a deal, honestly. You build 5 Tempest, you plank away at this army, and again, because both players' economies are so bad, anything that can find value over time, that is pretty nice. And because this is such a ground army, it's hard for Vipers to run in and get the abduct and knock these Tempests down. I kind of like the idea of building a bunch of Tempests. I don't know if that's the play. It is a very hard game to figure out. But maybe. Anyway, MaxPax 5th base just about done. He's only on 42 probes, but you don't need any more than that with the economy as it is. Some of his army on the left side defending this position is like, oh, no, that's not a probe. That's an observer. I think he might eventually try to take this base, but he's got something on the north side. Changeling's going to show up. Yeah, okay, that's there. Army posturing forward, and he's going to be oh, no, that's Changelings. Never mind. I'm being fooled all over the place by Dark's Changelings. Fun. I think he can go, yeah, he can find an angle here on the right side. He should be able to put pressure on this base, which Dark has retaken it. It's only 4 mineral patches. It's not like that's a ton of mining right there. So MaxPax should be able to just have the big hit. I want to say he's got recalls available. He should have recalls available. Oh, nice body blocking there on the Broodling. We'll get an Archon. Well played, Dark. That's pretty cool. As now Lings are going to try to dive on top of this base. I think you just recall this army. Yeah, you do. Onto this side of the map where the lurker count is not nearly as strong. I love what MaxPax is doing here. He's going to break 2 bases. Dark's economy is in a horrible spot. Yes, Lings are going to try to get on top of the static defense, but there's a shield battery there. That's going to be fine. Lurkers are going to try to break this base, but there's enough to buy some time. MaxPax gets another base down. How many lurker? What's our lurker count at? It's 20. It's still pretty heavy. I think there should be a recall. Yeah, there's a recall available, but MaxPax's not going to go for it. I guess he's okay with killing 2 bases. Dark says, this is fine. I'm not going to waste recall. I don't want to give up that positioning tool. I'm going to give the base up. It's not like I had a ton of probes there. They're dead anyways. I'm okay with being on 4 bases, but he's going to have to recall anyways because the lurkers are going to show up here, and that's just one tool out of the toolbox that MaxPax has. But by the way, he's got a second Stargate. There are Tempests on the way. I do feel vindicated here. I think that was the proper play. Just anything you can do that builds value over time. So carriers, well, actually, how many? 16 Hydras. 16 Hydras with Carapace, probably not. But carriers are probably not the play because you have to spend money to have more interceptors. Tempest, you can just poke. You can get your 5 Tempest hit squad going, as we're on 4 right now. Maybe another one when MaxPax has the money for it. And there we go. There's the 5th on the way. Once you do that, these lurkers will eventually die. Do we have any Vipers? We have none. 1 is on the way. 2 are on the way because the Tempests have shown up, and they don't have +1, so that is a little bit annoying. They don't have a little bit more, but these Tempests are a problem that Dark does not have a proper solution to right now. Yes, technically abducts, but by the way, the mothership's on the bottom side. MaxPax is ready for some shenaniganry as he continues this pressure on forward, trying to get as much damage done as he can. Meanwhile, rotating, he's leaving the Tempest behind, which I don't really like. Oh man, that's a good storm. That is a fantastic storm, and I think all the Hydras are dead now. Yeah, okay, Dark, you have yourself a couple of Vipers. Absolutely. There is nothing that kills these Tempests whatsoever. Hydras are being made, sure, fine. It's all on spores, and we're looking at 4 spores on the map. That is not enough here, so it's going to be another base trade. MaxPax gets another base, so Dark is really only mining on 40 drones on 4 mineral patches. And at this point, MaxPax has built an army that is insurmountable. He can lose this base. It does not feel good. He would not like to, but he has an army that cannot be fought. And as long as he has a single structure on the map at this point, I don't really see a way that he loses this game. Maybe you don't want to lose this base. Recall's not up. It's going to be up in just a little bit now. Abducts are going to move forward, and abduct the mothership. Fine. Doesn't do anything. Lurkers have to retreat back a little bit further forward. Dark wins this, or Dark has a path to victory in this if he kills the detection. But there are 4 observers on the map and an oracle. That's not an easy thing to do. So this feels like MaxPax victory. Yes, he's down to literally 0 probes. MaxPax is going to win this game on 0 probes. A natural, a main base, a recall eventually. Dark can mine. Dark has money, but there's nothing he can build that beats this army anymore. MaxPax has the reverse sweep. What a series. My goodness. That was a crazy game number 5. And MaxPax, he's your champion of EPTNA number 217.